Hey, what's going on, guys? Kevin Yates here. So today I want to share with you 5 pain-free lunge variations that you can use. So if you are dealing with any kind of, if it's low back problems, hip, knees, ankles, if you're like me, years ago I struggled with hamstring strains and pulled my groin, ankle sprains, I had sacroiliac joint dysfunction and pain going on, snapping, popping hips, and IT band syndrome. If you're a runner, you know what that means. But I mean, basically, I had plantar fasciitis, sciatica, the list goes on. And that was just lower body kind of stuff. So, if you're struggling with any kind of that stuff and you haven't found anything that's really working for you, or it's not really working long term, it's not really solving the problem, this should help you out. So I'm going to share with you 5 variations of lunges that you can do, for the most part, that will keep you pain free and help prevent injuries. Okay, so real quick before I get started, if you haven't already heard about it, especially if you got knee problems, I put together some free videos with some free exercises that you can do to help strengthen your knees and eliminate, or at least like significantly reduce knee pain, and to help fix your knee problems if you're dealing with them. So it's all free. Click the link in the description box below if you're interested in that. So getting back to today, one of the things, before I get into the exercise, I'm going to show you these. One of the things that's so important to understand, and it's like nobody's really telling you this, so I'm going to say it right here and right now, is that we're too focused on what exercises we need to do. Now, yes, I'm going to show you exercises. Yes, exercises are good, but the problem is that we're so focused on exercise and fitness, and if you're into recreational or competitive sports performance first. Now, there's nothing wrong with these things, but it's the problem is that we're putting these first. I get asked all the time, Kev, what exercises do I need to do to lose weight? What do I need to do to strengthen my back? What do I need to do to build strength? What do I need to do to fix my knee, or whatever, right? It's always about what exercises we need. Now, here's the problem with it. Exercise is a form of movement. Sports are a form of movement. Fitness, what we do to get fit and stay in shape, that's all movement. So what we're doing though is we keep thinking we need fitness and performance and exercise first, but we're neglecting the movement. And that's the problem, because the movement is the foundation from which exercise and sports performance and running and golf and doing things around the house and lifting and training and all that stuff is built from. So if we are not moving well, we're not going to train well in the gym. We're not going to perform well, out when we're running, golfing, tennis, whatever. We're not going to feel very well. And that's the thing that leads to a lot of pain and injuries for people, is that we're trying to put fitness and exercise on a poor foundation of movement. We're not identifying the movement patterns that are off in our body. And a lot of times we have movement patterns that are not happening the way that they should. They're not healthy movement patterns, and we don't really realize it until we come down with pain or an injury. So you start your fitness program, and after a couple months or so, the knee starts to bug you a little bit, or after you go for a run and you're feeling the twinge in the knee, or after you work out and you're feeling the shoulder and the back gets stiffened up and you don't know what's happening. And the problem is that when we put exercise and fitness and performance on top of a poor movement foundation, it always ends up in pain and injuries. So we want to stop that by addressing movement first. So the 5 variations I'm going to show you are actually designed to help improve movement, at least in one of what I call the 6 foundational movements, one of which is single leg patterns. So, all the movements we perform are either squatting, pulling, pushing, single leg, or twisting. Those are the fundamental foundational movements that we perform. Every movement we do is one of those 6 or a variation of one. So we've got to have the foundation down before we try to put exercises and fitness and performance on top of it, okay? So 5 variations to help improve the quality of your movement so that you get more out of your fitness, you get more from your exercise, you get more from your sports performance, right? You can build that stuff when you've got good quality movement down. So the first variation, I'm gonna back out a little bit so I can show you and try and get myself in the camera. We're gonna work through a warrior lunge, right? So a warrior lunge is really cool because what it does is it integrates the whole body. We need to stop training our body like it's just a bunch of different parts. I do quads one day, I train my biceps another day, I do, upper body, lower body. We have to really look at the whole body as being one unit linked together. It's designed to move as a unit. So what we want to do, like with a warrior lunge, it helps us do that. So a warrior lunge is really just arms up, almost like you're making a Y. So I'm like a letter Y here. And then if we move into a 1 foot back and we have a lunge pattern, it would be from here, just working this kind of pattern here to here, right? Nothing fancy with it, but what it really does is it helps to tie in the upper body, particularly the shoulders and the upper back that are designed to work with the lower body, right? When we walk, when we run, these arms are moving and they're tied into the lower body. So if we're not tying these things together, and we're just like doing different body part workouts, it's no wonder a lot of times things don't work the way they should when we're out in the real world doing real life activities. We end up with pain and injuries when things aren't working together. So it links that really, really good. Another one I've got is a reverse lunge, okay? So, usually when you go to the gym, either you're doing it or you'll see most people are doing, when they do lunges, what do? They do walking lunges, right? Forward, boom, walking lunges all across the gym floors and everything, which is cool. But one of the problems with that, again, if we're not moving well, what happens is that you're moving your body forward. And when you go forward with forward momentum and then you drop into a lunge, if you don't have good movement, if you don't have good stability, if you don't have good sequencing of movement, all that happens is you start to shear the knee. You move forward and the femur and the tibia are kind of, boom, shearing across each other. The femur is just gliding right across and stressing that knee joint out. So with a reverse lunge, we avoid all that. And what we really do is we get more of like the hips involved, the glutes and the hamstrings involved, which takes stress off the knee. So reverse lunge, we're really just from a standing position, taking a back step and then dropping into your lunge from there, right? So it's really just keeping everything, instead of going forward and back and shearing the knee, it's just moving up to down and it gets more of the hips activated, okay? So one that we've got from there is a single leg squat, we can call it. It's a single leg movement pattern. And it's actually, if a reverse lunge, it's more dynamic, right? So sometimes that's a little bit challenging for some of you. That's cool. Then you could do the single leg squat, which is more like a static version of it without all the movement. So if you have a bench behind you, then you just got 1 foot up on the bench. We're really doing the same thing like a reverse lunge, but from a static position. The back foot stays locked there. We're just really making sure that we've got good kind of posture and everything lined up. And that's the thing when you do these movements, it's not just the exercise that you're doing. So you don't just get up and start lunging like I'm showing you. Really, you have to have 3 things in place. I always have these big 3 in place. So these mean that you're paying attention to stacking your body properly, which means that everything is lined up. You have to begin in the right position, align your body, move in the right position, and end in the right position. That's called stacking. The other thing is linking the body, right? So again, like I'm talking about, you have to have everything working together the way it's supposed to. Different muscles of your body have to be working together. You have to link them all up, right? And so there's linking and then there's sequencing, which has to do with the timing, the coordination, the control, right? All of that kind of stuff with the movement. So again, really pay attention and make sure you're doing those things before you go right into any of these exercises, okay? So that's the third. Then we have a step up. Right? So a step up's cool too, because again, it's kind of like the reverse lunge where it really gets the hips activated, and it just does so in a little bit of a different variation. So, we've all done step ups, right? Where we're just kind of stepping up to a box or to a bench. there and there, but really, again, paying attention to how you're using your body, how you're stacking things up, how you're linking things, how you're sequencing movement. What do you feel working? Those types of things. And then the fifth one is a Cossack squat. So again, it kind of gets us out of the idea that we only move like forward or backward, right? A lot of times we're just moving in that same plane of motion. The problem is that these bodies of ours really move in 3 different planes of motion, right? Not just forward and back, but we also need to have some mobility and also stability side to side. So a Cossack squat's great for that. If I can get this all in, I'll do my best here, but it's really taking a really wide stance, and then it's working with a single leg kind of lunge to the side. So it's really like a side lunge. With the leg that's down, if I'm not in the camera, you pull your toes up and get this leg long. So what this really does also is it helps to open the hips up. Because if our hips aren't moving, a lot of times we have hips that are just locked up, tight, they don't move well. And when our hips don't move well, if these hips get locked up, every time we go to bend down, squat down, kneel down, every time we do that and these hips aren't moving, the knees and the feet and ankles and even the back, the spine, has to try to overcompensate, and it has to try to get extra mobility because the hips aren't doing it. So if that starts to happen, this is what stresses out the joints, stresses out the spine, leads to back pain, knee problems, foot and ankle, even up the chain, shoulder, neck problems, things like that happen because of things that are not working in other areas of the body, like the hips. So that is a really good one for opening the hips up, getting you moving in a different direction, and creating a whole different kind of movement experience. So hopefully those helped you out. Try those out. Again, pay attention to how you're performing the movements. Anybody can take an exercise and do an exercise. That's not the important thing. When I coach people, I'm not inventing anything, really new here with exercises. You've probably seen all these before. The difference, though, is that a lunge is not a lunge, right? Just because we do a lunge doesn't mean we're getting the effect or the result that we should be getting from it. We have to pay attention to how we're performing these movements. We have to pay attention and make sure that we're cleaning up any kind of movement patterns in our body that are off. We have to be able to identify and correct those and clean those up. So really this comes down to the right cueing, coaching yourself, making sure you're paying attention to how you're performing each and every single movement pattern that you do. So that's it. That's 5 pain-free lunge variations. Try them out. Let me know how they go. And in the meantime, if you have any questions or comments, type them in down below. Again, grab the free videos that I have. If you're dealing with any kind of knee pain and you've been through trying everything and nothing has worked to resolve it, grab it, man. I got some free videos, 11 knee strengthening exercises to fix your knee pain and to help you stay pain-free. So click the link in the description box below for that. And until next time, I wish you the best. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon.